Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. And of course, time for another instant match reaction with myself and Evie. And when the time's right, we bring people on as well. And we have to bring on MDL, the Melier Defence League, stood out there on his own, of course, Mr. Joe B. And like many people have said in the chat, maybe a conversation for man of the match tonight, but we'll get into that later on the stream, folks. But Leeds were very wasteful in front of goal. I think that's fair to say. Only scored the two. And, of course, Melier makes two wonder saves as well. So, really, you could argue he helped or won us them points. He's been getting clean sheets left, right and centre without actually doing much. Tonight, he did his job. So, Joe, I want to start there, mate. I want to start with Melier, and I want to come over to you, mate, because you continued to support him when myself and others said, nah, it's done. So talk to me.
I'll be honest, even after the whole match, I was in the position of, no, okay, it might also be done for me now. And we've had this conversation where everyone was like, Joe's still backing him. No, I'm not. I've not been for a lot. But you know what? I'm happy to retake my role as chairman of the Melier Defence League because, I mean, I can whack out some statistics if you want, because that save from the header was statistically harder to stop than a penalty. So anyone that says he doesn't save penalties, no, he does better. What else do you need to say? Distribution was good, did the basics, did the more than basics, absolutely fantastic, and is, I think, the reason that we got 3 points there, not one.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it, Evie? And it's great to look. We can still be critical of his performance, like him as a goalkeeper, etc., etc. But you have to really praise when it's due. And tonight he saved us, and it's even like the manager as well, because the manager stood by him. You know, he left him out of the FA Cup like he was always going to do, brought him straight back in. I would argue tonight as well, I said during the game, he looked a lot more confident in terms of the way he was coming out commanding his box, etc. Yeah. They put some crosses from corners right on top of him, and he dealt with them as well. So just a standout performance considering how Mez's season's gone.
Yeah, I think that it was a really solid performance. And, I've been very critical over the last few months, given how many points that we can all agree that he's cost us. And the fact that over the last few years, we can list on probably one hand the amount of times that he's saved us in games. But tonight is one of those games, especially with how poor we were with finishing. Like, arguably, we created better chances against Coventry than we did against Cardiff. And we only scored 2. And that's not even, that's not even counting the fact that we had a stonewall penalty not allowed that was more a penalty than the one that was given for us against Cardiff. But Melier did his job. The scoop was so similar to the Leicester one from last season, where he just kind of scooped it off the line and it looked like it was going in, and we were already had our head in our hands, expecting it to be a goal for Coventry. But I think that I'm really pleased for him, because if he does well, we do well. So for as much as I don't see his future regardless at Leeds United after the end of the season, I still want him to do well. I'm not one of these people that will feel vindicated if he does poorly. I want him to do well, because that means we are doing well. And Coventry, especially in their most recent form, are the most informed team in the league up until tonight. So, they weren't a poor team. They weren't the Coventry that we faced back earlier on in the season. They've come, they're pushing for playoff places, and fair play to them. I don't want them to get it simply for the fact of who they've got as manager, but as a team, as a club, I think it's about time they got back up to the Premier League. But I am very impressed. It's an away performance. We weren't on it like. We didn't have our scoring boots on it like we did on Saturday, but Melier kept us in that game. And if he had a whole Sunderland type game, we go away and we drop 2 points there. Very happy.
So am I. So am I. While I remember here, I've just seen as well, because this guy has been getting battered, for the last few weeks, because he'd had a bit of a barren spell, you could say. We had our own fans creating compilations on him. But Betfred have just tweeted out that no player in the EFL Championship has a better goal and assist per 90 minutes played rate than Joel Pirro, 0.86, so just shy of a goal or assist a game. So yeah, it's really quite impressive, and I thought he was good tonight, and he was also good from the defensive aspect. We're seeing a lot more of that from him as well. I think we know now, having watched Leeds United, the bulks of our attacks come down the wings. That's why, and we're noticing it's almost like it's like the movie's done on repeat in training. It goes to one of either James or Solomon and gets flashed across the box. Tonight we saw so many of that the keeper did or the pass was off, but against Cardiff we scored nearly every one of them. But even Pirro tonight actually could have had a couple more when he goes through one-on-one. Yeah. Well, at least he'll score, and even he missed. But yeah, to think that, look, at times he hasn't been perfect, but he's been getting a bit of an unfair shake. So again, Joe, it's great to see Joel getting goals, because if he gets goals, people get off his back, But I think performances have been good of late as well, to be honest. He's not going missing as much as he were. And I mean, I don't know if he got an assist tonight, but I was looking the other day. One more assist gets him the most he's ever had in a season in his career, and we've still got 15 games left to go. So it shows how much he's adapted his game, and he's really taking on board what Farke's clearly asking of him, right?
Yeah, he's getting better at both ends. I'll say both ends of the range in which he goes. So he's doing more sort of in the box stuff, which previously he was sort of struggling with, whereas now he's doing a little bit better at the running in behind, picking up the ball and sliding it into one of the corners. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's doing the deeper stuff a little bit better as well, which is the holding up stuff, like we saw the ball through for Dan James when it came to last week. What day is it? Saturday, that one. Mm-hmm. Too much football right now. But his chance creation's gotten really good. His chance finishing's gotten really good. And I'll be honest, there's a world in which he could have had a hat-trick tonight.
Yeah.
Just that one-on-one that he missed. He had a couple of other chances, and the point at which I nearly screamed at my monitor, like, just square it to Dan James. Mm-hmm. Didn't had a go, but I understand why he had a go, because he's on that sort of form right now. So it's a really good spot to be in, that we've got a player on the bench who, in Mateo Joseph, gets into the bulk of championship teams.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like, well, no, because Pirro is doing everything right now, so you're not going to replace him.
Yeah, it's like Vic says, a blatant penalty not given as well, which Evie touched on. I thought Evie, just the refereeing in the second half, it's like they had a conversation at half time and says, right, let's just be absolute tits this second half.
I believe that referee's a Sheffield United fan. Genuinely, that's not me. That's not me just trying to say something kind of edgy. I'm sure somebody put some stats about the ref on one of the groups I'm on and said that they're a Sheffield United fan, which you wouldn't have thought, given the situation that a Sheffield United fan would be given this particular game to referee, with everything in the balance. But I'm not saying it is, but from what I've seen, that's true. But I couldn't believe that penalty wasn't given. It was probably the most blatant penalty I've seen this season, and we've had some shocking ones not given to us this season. But that was more of a penalty than the Dan James one was on Saturday that was given, and that one was a penalty. But he was completely took out. He was nowhere near the ball. It was inside the box. It ticked every single element that you need for a penalty to be awarded. It absolutely ticked. So the fact that wasn't given, and then they were given some really soft fouls, I just couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. And then obviously the goal that was then disallowed right at the end, regardless of whether it was offside, that's not the decision that I'm angry at.
I think it was, wasn't it? Because Nonto took it off
but it's not the Premier League. That
Mm.
flag has to go up, and
Yeah.
we were allowed. People were able to run from one end of the pitch to the other to celebrate,
exactly.
and then it went up as soon as the Coventry players went over. I'm sorry, but you've been swayed by the players. That's you know,
100%.
you have to, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, that has to be a goal, because you have to stick your flag up immediately. You can't just change your mind. You know, that is it. It is a goal or it isn't a goal. Like, you were swayed there. There is no room for you to delay. We don't have VAR. You know, it's not even like we were playing in similar colours, so it wasn't even, you know, checking club badge. But it was just, you know, absolutely disgraceful decisions in that second half. And we won, in my opinion, in spite of the referee and the linesman, you know. And so I always say I'll be critical towards referees regardless of the decision. I never say that we lose because of them, but tonight we definitely won despite them.
Definitely. I just this is an insane stat, because this goes back to Bielsa and Farke. But since 2018-19, right, Leeds United's away championship record when scoring first, there's only one draw, and the rest have been wins. So like that is insane. Like I can't even count how many there is, so I'm just going to show you the graphic because it'd take me ages to count. But you can see there we've had one draw. Let me just get my cursor here, and every single other result has been a win. That's insane. So we've won the last 11 in a row by an aggregate score of 23-0. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, someone said to me on the stream, it's not over yet, 10 minutes to go. Have you not watched Leeds this season? Well, that tells you there that that's what it's in. It is genuinely insane that what both managers done, really, but Farke's obviously continuing it. I know it's not as beautiful as Bielsa, but in terms of the numbers that he's putting up, the records that he's smashing, it's on a par. I'm not saying the football is, hear me, you know, I love Bielsa, everything he stands for, but in terms of what Farke's doing, it's insane. We've got a 5-point gap. We've scored 60 plus goals. No one close to us has got like 50 odd. Like, I don't even think anyone's got up to 50 yet. So it's insane, and we could do this by a canter, really. I know I get giddy. I can't help it. But February is a huge month, Joe, because we have obviously Watford, but then Sunderland and Sheffield United. If we get positive results in them, you could already be thinking, wow, like it's, you know, it's not that long to go.
If we get decent results in those, it's going to start looking a little bit ridiculous, because assume they win their respective games in hand, because they probably do. If we beat both of those sides, then that is an 8-point gap over Sunderland. That's a 5-point gap over Sheffield United, assuming they don't drop points in the meantime, which is a little bit wild because they all have the tendency to drop points in silly matches here and there. Like Sheffield United got slightly pumped by Hull, helped out by Joe Gelhardt, who couldn't even get into our side. Like, we need to remember it's very championshipy, and like, looking around us, we all think Burnley are never going to concede again. They will do, and they will drop points in 0-0 draws. And I think if we just keep at the rate that we're going at, our system is so good that even on a night where we miss 6 or 7 gilt-edged chances, we still win 2-0. It's such a sort of comfortable position for us to be in, and it's so weird as a Leeds fan to think, oh, we're actually kind of fine right now, aren't we? We're doing okay, and we don't need to be scared. And I think the reason we get a lot of negativity a lot of the time is because there's people who, as Leeds fans, have never lived without that fear.
Yeah,
and I think we need to get a bit more used to it now.
Yeah. With this, I think so.
You'll never get rid of the fear out of me, Joe. I'm always scared when it comes to Leeds United.
See, with football, I just have to enjoy the moments, because the downs can happen like that. So that's why I get giddy and carried away, man. It is what it is. But Top of the Championship, 19th win of the season, 19th clean sheet this season, unbeaten in 14 games. Piro's 13th goal of the season, which puts him level on last season, and he's still got 15 left to play. It's the 7th assist for Solomon, which is insane when you consider how many games he's missed. It's our 6th straight clean sheet. And here's a point, Evie, right, as well. Like, this time last year, we did a similar run. We did nearly the exact same run. Farker always does this with his sides at the turn of the year, goes on a bit of a run. The big difference this season was that he started well. He actually started the best he'd ever started, even with his Norwich sides. So if we were to go on a similar run, which looks like we're entering now, and we're already top, like Joe said, it could get a bit ridiculous, right? You know,
Yeah.
It's in.
And the thing is we didn't have to rely on an own goal like Burnley did the other day.
Yeah.
You know, like we're actually
Sunderland as well
creating.
was an own goal.
Yeah.
Their win was an own goal as well.
Didn't they have 2 own goals in that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
So like without own goals, Sunderland don't win that game. So they don't even get a point at that game without them. So if we can just finish just slightly more to make it more comfortable for my like heart palpitations, that would be good, because obviously Meslier did keep us in this game and kept his clean sheet and kept us kind of ahead, didn't allow the momentum to properly shift, because I did think that, other than obviously the poor refereeing, I did think Coventry did come out better in the second half. I thought they played better in the second half, mainly for the first kind of 20 minutes. Then they dropped off and then they came back into it again for maybe the last 10 minutes. But I think if, it's hard to judge last season by this season, and this season, because we were constantly playing catch up. We had no room for mistakes last season, whereas this season we're still getting stronger. We're creating, yes, it's only a small gap, but there's still 15 games left to go. And people who are in, like Coventry, are in 11th right now. But if they'd have won tonight, they'd have gone on the same points as West Brom. They'd have been, like up in and around the playoff position points. So there's so much football that I'm not saying the top 4 will change much, but there's still 2 places in the playoffs to play for. So other teams still need to get points from us at some point, which will work in our favour. Because to be fair to Coventry, they did attempt to play football, a lot more than this time last year, when we were just in a steady decline anyway. But I do think that if we can just steady away, we don't have to blow people away. Yes, it was fantastic. Saturday was incredible. I'm not ashamed to say that I have watched highlights and extended highlights for days on end now, but that's not realistically going to happen. It could have happened if we could have finished our dinner tonight. We genuinely could have had a game where, in the last 7 days, we'd scored, 14 goals and conceded 0 kind of thing, which would have been absolutely insane. Waiting for Leeds to score 7 is like waiting for a bus, none when you want one and then 2 come at once kind of thing. But I really think that, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I like to be calm.
Say it.
I like to be calm, but we're in a much better position because we're not playing catch up. And last year we were only top of the league for 2 weeks, and that was during an international break. So actually, we've been top of the league consistently since we've been top of the league, if that makes sense. Because I know obviously Sheffield have played before us and have gone top, but by the end of each game week since we've been top, I'm pretty sure that we have stayed top since then. So, we can do that, which is a much better attitude than we had last season. We couldn't handle the pressure last season when we finally reached the summit, whereas this year, we can.
Yeah. No, you bang on the money, Evie, and to think that we're doing this run while we're not playing catch-ups, the insane thing, isn't it? As well, like just to put some more stats out there. I know you like these, Joe. Johnny Cooper's always on the button. Leeds United have scored 14 championship goals since they last conceded a goal. Only Fulham, who scored 23 in a row back in October, November 2021, have ever had a longer run of scoring without conceding in championship history. I think that might be Scott Parker's Fulham as well, that, to be fair, which doesn't surprise me given how defensive he is. Probably winning them games 1-0s, not 6s and 7s, but hey ho. But yeah, it's quite the return, isn't it, mate? Like, we didn't look. Can I say we didn't look troubled tonight when Melié's made 2 wonder saves? I guess you can't really say that, but we still look very good defensively, even though we gave them chances up.
Yeah, we didn't look consistently troubled.
No,
I think is the thing. Like the times that we had problems was like they've had the ball for 30 seconds and suddenly it's in the middle of the box, and that's the sort of thing that ideally we can cut out at some point. And but at the same time, it's going to be like individual mistakes. Like someone gets dribbled past that normally doesn't. Someone's lost their man, which I think was the case for the header that Meslier saved. They were both headers. You know the one I mean. It's all stuff that can be fixed, and I'm really mad that you brought out that 14 goal stats before I did, because I was just reading up to try and do the maths on it. I was going to do 15 since we last conceded against Hull, but I'm using
Joe, how wild is it? You know, something strange when this guy's like going like this.
Are the optimists winning? Is that what's happening today? But I've got one more cheeky little stat to add to the pile. Our goal difference is now better than Sheffield United and Sunderland's goal difference combined.
Wow.
We're a bit ridiculous, aren't we?
Yes, yeah. As wild as it might say, maybe it was better to lose in the Championship playoff final last year to enjoy another year of winning football games before we ultimately go up and obviously struggle for wins. It is what it is. So, and to be honest, the squad, Evie, let's talk about the squad. There was a lot of unhappy people seeing Gruev coming. Oh, we're going super defensive, I heard, just because we made one change. And it's like, I think personally, I really like Gruev. I seem to latch myself to players that get unfair criticism. It seems I've noticed this. Aronson, Solomon when he was getting it, Gruev, Pirro. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something in my personality that I like to do that. But I thought he was phenomenal tonight, Gruev. I thought he was great. I thought the midfield pair, both Tanaka and Gruev, were good. And Gruev actually created some chances. He was involved in, I think he was involved in the first goal, maybe.
Yes, I think he was. I'm actually gonna come out and slightly disagree with you, because I was pleased to see Gruev start, and I like Gruev, but I actually think that he is still getting match sharpness. A lot of his passes in the first half put us into unnecessary pressure. There were quite a few wayward passes.
Are you sure? Because we had a conversation at half time and he had a better pass accuracy than our Tanaka.
No, I'm not saying that that's not Tanaka's kind of bread and butter when it comes to it. You know, like last year, we know that obviously Gruev and Kamara, I was trying to think of his name, had a ridiculously high success, like pass success. But I personally thought he grew into the game, and I thought actually he made some really good defensive interceptions, especially in that second half. But I do think that he's still getting match sharpness. I don't think he was poor. I just don't think, when you look at the standard that we know that he can produce, I just don't. I think his passing accuracy, when it came to making the right decisions, he did put us under a little bit of pressure.
Okay,
but it's it's objective. So
of course it is. Yeah, like I say, football is objective. The stats back up that his passes were right. I hear it. But I actually think he was really good tonight. Like I know Louis put the eye test, Joe, in the comments. I thought even on the eye test, I'm not like just I mean, it is subjective, but Louis said Tanaka does receive the ball in more. This isn't a competition over who's better or whatever, but
no, because I really like Gruev, and I was devastated when he got injured. You know, I really was. So this isn't I will be critical of any player. It doesn't matter whether I rate them on a personal level or not. Like, I'm quite happy to be critical and to be complimentary. I've been complimentary of Meslier tonight, and anybody who's watched your show knows that I've been had some heated discussions over Meslier in the past few months. So
yeah. Damar must have been. I think Damar's had a few beers whilst at the game, of course. Definitely, he must have. Yeah. On Sofa Score, just looking at it, Solomon 8.7, Bogle 8.3, Gruev 8.1. I mean, Dan James and Pirro are the ones that let us down, getting less than 7. To be fair, you can understand the Dan James one.
There were some wild shots from Dan James this evening.
It was like he'd put on his boots from like the Premier League, Dan James.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know what happened to him tonight, to be honest.
I think the entire sort of everyone in the front four was a little bit naff when it came to finishing. So I think and there's an argument for it being a little bit of complacency sneaking in after we've pummeled Cardiff. So if we just keep shooting, they'll just keep going in. So, looking at that Pirro one where he could have maybe squared it as another example of, maybe he's just shot because he's everything seems to be going in right now and not taking that extra moment to think on it. But even then, it's basically fine because we're in a position where at that point we're already 2-0 up. You might as well try and make it 3, It's all right.
Yeah. It's mad. Everyone's like, Damar's gone cuckoo. Even the chat know how wild he is. So this is mad. Here's another for you, which just shows how insane. There is 21 points between Leeds and 5th place Blackburn. Okay. There are 20 points between 5th place Blackburn and 24th place Plymouth. So it shows you just how it's insane how Leeds United are doing. Let's talk about some of the key men. Jayden Bogle, thank you, Sheffield United. What a player. Easily the best right back in the division. What a goal. I can't remember the last time he had a poor game. I can't. And I'm going to say this now, and I hope he's watching on catch up while he's at work. Matty from Imagine Not Being Leeds, do you remember coming on and saying you wanted Byram to start over him, son? Hang your head in shame. He'll be watching, so big up to Matty, by the way. I love him. But yeah, what a performance and what a goal as well, Evie. It was a great goal, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, you flip that on its head and you imagine Meslier makes that. I know it was actually on the defender. If he'd have just let the goalkeeper get it and not taken the touch, it's the touch from the defender that actually makes it almost impossible for the goalkeeper to keep the ball under control. But if that had been flipped the other way around, we would have all been going, myself included, insane at Meslier. So
So we're saying if there's a situation in which there's a really weird bounce in front of Illan Meslier, which means that he's unable to catch the ball.
You come forward for that ball, Joe. Let's not go there. But I was so impressed with the fact that Bogle just saw the space, and it was kind of like Moses parting the sea between those defenders because he just created the space and then the Coventry defenders just allowed him through. It was the parting of Coventry, and he just kind of went through and absolutely, he didn't stop. And so many times we see players back off when they think that the keeper's about to get it instead of pressing. Like Aronson will always press, whereas Pirro will sometimes step off. Solomon will sometimes step off, but Dan James will usually kind of carry on pressing, and Bogle continued to do that. And then he won't score an easier goal than that, literally a tap-in because of a goalkeeping mistake. But he forced that mistake by the fact that he pushed so far up and was just like a proper forward player instead of a right back. It was brilliant to see. And I was so critical of him at the beginning of the season, like during pre-season, and he deserved it at the time because he didn't start great. But for me, he's one of the, when we kind of swap around the wingers and we can take them off. I think that we often underrate how much running Bogle does. Like Bogle is just another winger, essentially. He does so much running up and down that right flank. He's incredibly athletic and very, very fit in terms of, just his ability. I think Bielsa would have absolutely loved him. I really do.
Yeah, definitely. He would have been the perfect succession from Luke Ayling at that time, for sure. This is wild, right? But conceivably, in the last 15 games, where there is a potential 45 points available, how many points do you conceivably think we can achieve? There's a reason I'm asking you this. So there's 45 available. How many do you think we can achieve in 15 games?
I think we crack 100 in terms of points, so that'd be at least 34.
Okay. Evie, have you got any thoughts?
I think that we'll get 95 points, but it's really difficult to see us, considering Coventry they were a bogey team for us last year, and we've got 6 points out of them, and we've not conceded a goal against them either. And we've still got Sheffield United to play. We've still got Sunderland to play. I think that we could get more than we originally thought than we could out of those games, because we know that we turn up for the big games, but we're turning up for the smaller games as well. So I don't know.
The reason I ask is, if Leeds United managed to get 41 points, which is a big ask, a huge ask, by the way. If we did do that, we'd actually get the points record. So I'm not saying we will, by the way, folks. I'm just putting it out there that if we did go on a crazy run, and it would be a crazy run, it would mean we'd get the points record. So
that'd be unbeaten in 27. No, wait, 28. If we were able to do that.
The ones that we're unbeaten in now, yeah?
Since Blackburn, we would need to be unbeaten in 28 unless you're dropping those 4 points as we just lose once and then we win everything else.
Okay, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Also, as well, good point. This is Oscar who's put this tweet out, so big up to Oscar, by the way. Pirro is within 2 goals of the Golden Boot, having not started the first 8 games of the season, which isn't that bad, is it? But yeah. Imagine when we got 45 points, man. And we're like, with the points record, it'd just be insane. I still think some people would find ways to be negative on the manager as well, which is just insane.
Can I just say that nobody can say anything bad about Farke about that game tonight, because none of that, all those created chances that we didn't convert, the chances and the opportunities are on the system. And we played the system brilliantly. We just didn't finish. And that is not on the manager to finish. So, we just need to make sure that, obviously, it was 3 points. We should have had even more goals. And if you'd have said between Cardiff and Coventry, we'd have had a 9 goals Mental.
Between
between
2
games.
Mental.
Yeah, absolutely insane. But we legitimately, without being big-headed, could have more. We could have well into double figures, in terms of what we should have scored tonight. We should have scored at least 5 tonight. So
yeah, I don't think it's conceivable that we could have had 2 back-to-back 7-0s, which is absolutely insane, to be honest. Big up to Cy Harries, who's a Welshman, I believe, on Twitter, who's just put this image that I've seen doing the rounds. I think I have to share it with you because I think it's a beauty. That is obviously an AI image. By all accounts, folks, I don't know how true this is, but apparently Lampard was giving it wanker signs at the away fans and also doing 4-2 at full time because of the playoff thing as well. So I don't know how true that is, but there is a lot on Twitter, and even BBC Don't Go to Bed have also put a tweet out saying, if you were there in the ground, let us know if this happened. But it just shows you how bitter that man is, that we've just humbled and battered them, that he has to go back to a game that ultimately saw them lose in the playoff final and us get promoted the season after. I don't get it. Yeah, cupped his ears to the fans and give it 4-2 apparently.
I was going to say, didn't he then proceed to lose in the playoff final?
Exactly.
And not only that,
Yeah.
but in the process, financially broke Derby to the point they got relegated the season afterwards, or something along those lines. You couldn't even get promoted with Mount and Tamori in his team, and yet he's still trying to give it the big one.
I mean, the only reason he lost the playoff final is because he'd won his cup final, to be fair. So, it's... I quite like I don't like Lampard, but I quite like a little bit of shithousery. I do. I enjoy it. I think it's part of the tribalism of football that makes it fun, especially when you've got teams like Burnley who just bore you to death, kind of. I would be longing for death if I was a Burnley fan watching that football. So yeah, I don't mind Frank Lampard giving the away fans a little bit of stick, because it makes it quite interesting. It's like, I don't know whether any saw the video of Ashley Barnes the other day, when they were mentioning, the away fans were mentioning about his bald spot, and he was there kind of stretching and bending over and shaking his backside at the Leeds fans, and he got a good cheer and things like that. So I like a bit of kind
stuff
of
like that. Yeah, it's all fun, isn't it? Does this as well now abolish the away form thing? Because we're now third in the away form table, same as Burnley. Actually, exactly the same as Burnley. The only thing is we've conceded 3, they've conceded 0, but in terms of goals scored, wins, draws, we're exactly the same as them, and they're the standard bearer, if you like. Are we confident and comfortable with that away stuff now?
Yeah, well, we
Until
lost
we
last
next
year
want to use it as an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. It will come around, Joe. You're right, mate. It definitely will come around. Farker's been speaking post-match as well. Great night, important win, tough place. Impressed with our pressing, counter-pressing. 5th clean sheet in a row, wasteful with chances. Need to be more efficient. Clear penalty. Crazy we didn't get this last goal. Not offside either, apparently. He's just said, look, critical of the cutting edge on one-on-ones. Didn't allow many chances. Those they had forced excellent saves from Ilian. We have to bury the game before. Only thing I can criticise, which I think is fair enough. I think from a manager's perspective, it is a case of, come on, lads, you scored 7 on Saturday, and now you only got 2 when you should have easily got 5. I think I don't think 5s would have been out of the realms of possibility, if we're being totally honest. I think,
that's not even like been over excitable or anything like that. That's genuinely how good the chances were, and that doesn't even include the fact that we should have had a penalty, which obviously, with Pirro with his penalty scoring record, that would have been 3, just ticked off straight away kind of thing. But yeah, I think we were brilliant. We didn't really give them that many kind of opportunities. I don't know what their XG was for tonight's game, but it can't have been many. I know obviously Meslier did have 2 good saves to make, one that was without a shadow of a doubt going in if he doesn't save it. And I think as well for that second one that he saves, I'm grateful that Gruev was stood there, because that ball potentially sneaks over the line just there kind of thing. And then we're maybe not talking about how good of a save it was, because actually he kind of pushes it onto the crossbar, and then Gruev gets the kind of Gruev gets the deflection and then boots it away. So I think that we were just brilliant from front to back, even if it was a little bit sloppy at times, because they were trying to like chop Aronson up into pieces at part.
Yeah, they were. And he stands up to that physical test now, I think a lot more. He just sometimes go down a little bit easier. But yeah, great. Farker's reasoning for changing the midfield was due to them having 3-man midfield and having 2 8s that like to run in the channels. And I think he made the right decision. He mentioned bringing in Gruev for Brownhill the week before. Brownhill didn't really have a touch against Burnley tonight. They have 3-man. He makes changes. Again, they didn't have a touch, and ultimately Frank Lampard had to change it in the second half by dropping one of the strikers and bringing in Sakamoto. So again, for a manager that was perceived to be tactically inept, it just doesn't fit the narratives anymore. We're going up as effing champions, I think. let's finish up and discuss our man of the match. I don't think there's anything else that we've missed that we need to go over before we do that. I don't think. Is there anything? Nah.
I have just watched the penalty back because I wasn't here at the time. I missed the first 10 minutes of the second half. How does that not get given?
Yeah,
that's the most blatant, just through the back of him thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, whatever. Thanks, Championship refs.
Yeah. Oh, just another one as well. Johnny Cooper. We'll finish with this stat before we do our man of the match. Leeds United have kept 6 consecutive clean sheets for the first time since doing so in March, April of 1981. So again, Daniel Farke breaking more and more records. Just for people that maybe didn't catch it live or whatever, just to see how big this save was. That's the saving question, and it was slightly behind him, so he's had to it probably doesn't do it justice there, but he had to sort of come from behind. It was a great save, and
I've just sent you it in motion so you can sort of show it when moving if you fancy.
Yeah, if you like.
It's over in the private chat in the StreamYard. If that helps.
Okay. Ooh, what's this? Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to show it, will I? I won't be able to show it. What's that you're on?
Have you never seen Blue Sky? No?
Oh, I never bothered. No. Is it an actual thing? Does it go?
I'm not really, but I like hopping on there to if I have a video clip that I quite like that I want to share, but I don't want to give certain people that are billionaires clicks on things.
Okay, right. I see. Yeah, I didn't join Blue Sky, but I think if I show that, mate, it'll be. I
thought it was janky enough to get away with it, but it might be. Yeah, at that point. Yeah.
No. Let's discuss man of the match then. So, Evie, we can start with you, ladies first, and all that jazz.
Considering I've been so critical of him, I'm going to give my man of the match to Meslier.
I think that's nice. I like that. And Joe?
Brendan, no, come on. We all know the answer to this one. Is the reason that we got all 3 points. And if we're being very, very charitable, which I'm not being, I'm not going to go to this extent, but in terms of points gained and won, this makes up for one of Hull or Sunderland, I think.
Yes.
He turned a win to a draw then. He's turned a draw to a win here. So
Yeah, I think I agree in that. It gets one of the things. He's now just got to rectify Hull, and then we can be cool, right?
I'll do it.
So another worldie and another. I am going to go slightly different, although I do think Meslier deserves a big shout. But I just have to go with. I so want to go Gruev, but I am going to go Jayden Bogle just because he's been phenomenal week after week. He was phenomenal last week, but James was just far and away, rightful winner of the man of the match officially, I think, on weekend. But for me, Bogle, the goal, just his, like you mentioned, Evie, the engine on the lad's insane. The amount of, running he does. It's almost like I remember sometimes under Bielsa, the fullback would just cover the full flank. It's a bit like that at times. Obviously, as James's company as well, but even just that, the synergy between them two's, great. And again, I'm sorry about this, folks, but I love reading them out because it's just pure Farke propaganda. So Leeds United are now on the club's longest unbeaten run of games across all competitions since October 2009 and January 2010, which was 17 under Simon Grayson. So you might find that we might surpass that. But listen, we've got some tough games coming up. Of course, we've got Millwall in the FA Cup. Expect heavy rotation, which I'm cool with. I do think we'll still have enough. And then we play Watford before them 2 massive games against Sunderland and Sheffield United, which I can't wait for. So give me a points return on them 3 league games. Watford, Sheffield United, Sunderland. Joe.
Oh, why you got to come to me first? I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 7. But I'm going to go a little bit weird, and I'm going to say that Watford managed to cheese something, and it's the other 2 that we win.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go 9. I'm going 9. Balls to the wall with it, man. I'm going 9. We're going to break the points record.
I was going to go the same as Joe, Joe, because I think 7 as well, because I do think that I actually kind of think that it'll be the same. I think we'll win the other 2 games. I think Sunderland, because we're at home. Watford are such a weird team. They're either great or crap, and there's kind of no in between. Hence why they're, in that playoff conversation, but have got further and further away the longer the season's gone on. I think Sheffield United, I think, again, your man of the match, Bogle, turns up for these big games as well. He's got something to prove, old club, first time back at Bramall Lane. I just think that we'll get something, and I do think it'll be all 3 at Sheffield. But yeah, 7, I reckon. But I'm not going to lose my head if it's 6 either.
Yeah, no, neither will that. This is the thing, when we're starting to build up a gap. Look, I do think Sheffield United will beat Portsmouth on the weekend for what it's worth, especially at home. But, we just got to keep building that gap. We've got 5 points on Burnley again, regardless of what happens in that result. So that's happy days. And, we moved, don't we? Listen, I want to thank you both for coming on as well. I know it's late and you're giving up your time. So thank you for that. Make sure you check out Joe Blackburn, of course, and Discourse of a Peacock. I'll be around tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? It's Thursday, isn't it? We'll have Final Word, White Rose Rivals. I don't think we'll have a presser. Maybe we will, actually.
It's 2 days before, so maybe. It'd be weirdly fast, though.
Yeah, it would be. But we'll be there. Thanks as always for watching. Smash a like on your way out. See if you can sub if you're new as well, because we want to get to 33k. We're almost there. But amazing scenes and numbers tonight. So thank you all, and I shall see you in a bit. Bye-bye. And these will as well. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.